Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Stasia Bliss. We're talking Kundalini awakenings, but more than that, we're talking Kundalini embodiment practices and I guess you can say life force contemplations as we hone in on what this thing really is, right? Even this channel, and I'm just going to go ahead and own this, is like an explosion of so many different videos about the awakening journey, including my own awakening journey. Awakening to the self is the journey we're all on. You know, we go from the reflection of the outside world to then recognizing what this form is that we're each in and how it wants to express. That's really just what this awakening is. Going from being like sort of robotic and karmic, you know, like working off past patterns that continue to replicate, to being here on purpose, dharmic. So we do go through the karma and the clearing of the karma, and it's not like we're never creating karma, because we actually are. Every cause has an effect. So even you listening right now and holding space while you're watching this video, that is creating an energy and a wave into reality. So it's more about recognizing yourself as the cause rather than the effect of a previous reality. Now, all those effects brought us to this point. We acknowledge them, but there is a Brahmic moment. There is a new creation moment. And I'm going to actually go into this in more depth starting on the summer solstice next week on the 20th. I'm going to take you on a journey in these videos of embodiment through the archetypes of the major arcana of the tarot. I think it'll be a fun journey to recognize the different ways in which we are becoming conscious of our embodiment. And the tarot is a really nice look at that, of a human experience turning divine. And I'll give some examples and so forth on each one of those, how they're manifesting in our life through our awakening journey, both unconsciously and then consciously. So that will be fun. I felt that one come in yesterday. So yeah, there's nothing you have to do to participate in that except for show up. Show up, be subscribed to this channel so that you can get all the notifications. I may do one of those every couple of days just to give us some time to work with it. We'll see how it goes. But starting on the summer solstice, take a walk with me, embodiment through the tarot, the archetypes of the tarot. And if you're not into the tarot, it's fine. It's not like you have to get into it, but it will help you have a better understanding if you're interested, since it is kind of a hot topic and theme, and there's a lot of sort of downcast eyes, I guess, of the tarot. So a lot of people are like, that's devil's work and so forth. And I just want to be clear that divination and tools of divination, all things can be used positive or negative. So it's just depending on the consciousness that you are carrying and your intention, right? So let's take a journey. You can make your own decision. I invite you. Today, I often pull a tarot card before I get on these talks, just to, you know, and the other day I put 6 of Pentacles and I shared it with you. I don't always share what the inspiration is for the day. Sometimes it's somebody's session and a question or a query on one of the comments here, and I appreciate those, by the way. But I often do pull some cards just to sort of fill out the energy. That's kind of how I read the life force energy around me. It's just a tool that I find useful since it's drawing from so many possible answers. And then I just kind of utilize that, peek into this eternal moment to see what inspiration is to be found there. So just because we're talking about it, I pulled a King of Pentacles today. So if that resonates at all with anything you're querying, King of Pentacles is representative of a master in their reality. So I think this is an appropriate day to launch and tell you about the embodiment through the tarot archetypes. That is a path of reality mastery, to really look at the ways in which we move about in this reality, and are we doing it consciously or unconsciously? Are we still in a program? Like, we could be awakened and, you know, thinking we're conscious about our life, and then something will just come out of nowhere. Like I spoke about with the Colorado River, a rapid could come out of nowhere, and are you able to maintain consciousness in that moment, or is that the thing that throws you like off the boat, and then you're scrambling in your program again, right? So part of awakening is starting to become vigilant of what all the hairs on the head are doing, so to speak, what every part of your consciousness is doing, and you're learning to manage, right? I always feel the wind gets very loud when something really important is coming through. So I don't know if you've noticed that at all in the past, but we are becoming more and more conscious of ourselves, more and more conscious of this self, which then begins to extend beyond us, right, into the immediate surroundings and the people that you are interacting with regularly. They are also included in your awakening process. So if there's, you know, an edge there with someone, King of Pentacles is asking to step up to a more masterful place when it's concerned to the physical reality, and meet those challenges head on. You know, like King of Pentacles, not afraid to like go to the bank and ask for a loan, or like negotiate some situation that's inharmonious, you know, that the pages of the house just can't manage, right? Like the king energy in the Pentacles realm of the physical, is kinging it or queening it, is being masterful. So the question for today could be, where in your reality, where in my reality, I ask myself this too, do I need to become more masterful? And what steps can I take in order to accomplish that in a beautiful royal way, right? Because the royal cards are all asking us to invoke that divine nature. You know, it's not just like king, queen, earth plane royalty, it's divine royalty. One thing I love about the minor arcana, which I'm not going to explore with you one by one in this next class that I'm going to do, or online, I don't know what to call it, a workshop, a continuing embodiment program, I don't know, whatever we want to call it. Maybe you have a good idea for that, but I will let you know the cards that I'm pulling maybe from now on, so you can kind of get a feel for this tool. You know, it's just like learning another language, and this is a language that's more and more applicable to all of humanity, as more humanity is following that trend. Spirituality, though it's trendy, it also does, and there's a downside to that, but the upside is it's also educating more and more people on languages of spirit. You know, languages of spirit, how we communicate, and how we're functioning on these more subtle levels, which, you know, prior to this spiritual trend that we're in, a lot of this stuff was more just quiet, or in the self, or in the mystery schools, if you will, and there's purpose for that too, carrying it through the darker times, or the times, and dark just meaning when people are not shining a light on it, right? They're darker times, that part of reality is not illuminated. So as that part of reality is becoming more illuminated, it's good for us to know the language of spirit. And one reason why I loved studying in India and learning about Sanskrit and a lot of the Sanskrit words and chanting them is it is a language of spirit that is non-cognitive. So unless you really, I mean, no one's really speaking Sanskrit. It's considered a dead language, which is funny because it is kind of like the most alive language, because when you use it, you are actually playing your body like an instrument, you know. It is a way to play this instrument of human self, because of the way that we're set up with the chakras and the lotus petals, and they each do have a tone on them. And so as we're chanting, you know, Om Bhurva Swaha, Om Tat Savituvarenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayata. I'm not warmed up this morning, but you can hear how it's moving up and down. It's playing the chakras. It's playing the chakras. So as we learn the languages of spirit, as we learn how to communicate about this inner space, right? And we learn to take responsibility, which is the biggest part of awakening. It's probably the biggest part, is you now are responsible for your life, for what's going on, because you realize the center of your universe is in here. It's not out there. And that can be frightening, and that can be off-putting for a while because it seems too big, and it is, but so are you. So are you. And so the embodiment practices is taking on more and more, you know, the response ability, the ability to respond gracefully, masterfully to whatever's bubbling up from that infinite space at the depth of you, whatever things are wanting to rearrange in your life and move. Our consciousness can learn to respond to that and use the ego when we need to, you know, get the heck out of here, as they say in Utah. And then use consciousness in all other terms, right? Even consciousness dictates, yeah, ego, you got this. You know, if a house is on fire, consciousness is not like, do I enact ego to take care of the situation right now? Do I watch the flames on my way out? Like, no, probably not. You're immediately switching and relinquishing to the master of escape in this situation, right? The master of escape. And so I'm bringing up some ideas of some things that we sometimes look at only in a negative light, like the ego, and how everything has its other side, right? Everything has its other side. So mastery, that's where the shadow work comes in, where you can see both sides, you can value it, you can be present with it, with, you know, presence with the sensations coming up in your body. Even if they're discomfort, we learn to not react to the pains in our body, but be present. Feel them, acknowledge them, take responsibility for them. It's no one's fault out there if we're in pain. Even if someone physically seemed to inflict pain upon us, you know, and I'm not excusing anybody for that. This is a deeper talk than that. You know, if we put ourselves in a situation, we masterfully have done so on some level to access some part of ourself. And I'm speaking from someone who has put herself in those situations unconsciously and had to learn to become conscious as to why create this situation for self? What is it truly doing? What is going on in here that's a necessary key to turn? And that's some other work that we can do individually if this is striking a chord with you. So empowering to take responsibility. It brings it all back to the inner I am, which is the God self. If you think about it, God's not out of control. Nothing's happening to God that God doesn't intend or see the higher purpose for, or utilize in the orchestration of an incredible symphony. If you're a writer, especially like fiction or fantasy, you know you gotta have all the elements to make a good story. And you are the main star in your story. So all of the occasions of your life are part of the story, part of the greatest story of you. And so when things happen that seem just crazy or unwanted, but doesn't make a good story, are you recognizing your presence in your life? Again, Kundalini embodiment, you are the main character of your life. All that you're feeling and experiencing is part of the greatest story. Well, take whatever resonates from today. Leave the rest behind. I look forward to joining you again. Excuse my absence yesterday. I got back from that long trip there and back, and it was lovely. We had a lovely adventure. Thank you for following along. But I was just beat, trashed. I did a video for you in the dream realm, and maybe some of it is in today's video, but excuse me for being absent. Thank you for following along, and I look forward to more conversations with you and moving into the summer solstice next week already. Oh my goodness, halfway through the year. This is when the energy really begins to intensify, and why I want to do this tarot journey with you is as we gain access to more life force at the peak of summer, the top of the chart, you could say, with the most divine influence, most consciousness, sun. It's like noonday of the year. That's your Leo season, right? That's coming into, that's the 5th house. In astrology, that's your life force. So as we are accessing that more, beginning to notice like where we're putting our attention. And the tarot is going to be helpful because we can see, oh, I'm in this card, this stage, in this part of my life. Like I'm a fool in this part of my life. I'm beginning something new, and going through and seeing where you are, so multidimensional. And sometimes we beat ourselves up. This is my last thought. Sometimes we beat ourselves up for having a lot of things going on, and there's certain forces in our life that are saying, focus, focus, focus. As a multidimensional being, I'll just make this comment. There's a way to focus with many limbs. I'm looking at a tree right now. There's one trunk, there's many branches. The life force of that tree is focused on this tree. This tree. And it knows it wants to have blossoms over here and over here and over here and over here. So if you're doing that in your life and you're working on blossoms in all these places, just come back to the remembrance of knowing you are focused. You are so beautifully focused. Your being knows exactly the kind of tree that you are growing yourself into. The world tree is part of the conclusion of the tarot is the world. I relate it to the world tree. It's the totality of expression. It's the true knowing of interconnectedness. So the journey to that is the awakening journey, is the life force journey. It is the embodiment adventure. You can go through it once really fast and just be activated. You can go through again and like stumble around with all the integration work. And then you can also go through it with full awareness. All right. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Namaste. I'll see you tomorrow.